the Seattle Seahawks. A team I thought was about to be on the decline, instead might be at its highest it's been in a few years. Ever since Russell Wilson departed to Denver, in one season, Geno Smith, a quarterback that generally has not been good in the NFL, had his best season ever. And with this loaded roster, with a great young running back and a great receiving core that just also got upgraded during the draft, this team looks to be going on the climb. Now, for fantasy football, how highly are these players regarded? Let's find out. Hello everyone, my name is Aaron and this is the Game Day Hour. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Team Review. In this series, we take a look at each and every 32 NFL franchises to see what they offer for fantasy football. Here we analyze the team's quarterback, running back, wide receiver 1 and 2, tight end, and starting kicker. Our goal is to look back to last season and see if these players are worth drafting, and if so, when and where. Today we analyze the Seattle Seahawks. If you enjoy these episodes, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Geno Smith, Seattle Seahawks quarterback. It took a long time. It finally came to fruition. Geno Smith had a very good year and he led his team to the playoffs. When have we ever seen Geno Smith have as an outstanding year as he had in his entire career? No, we haven't seen it. His stats last year were just pretty incredible. I'm happy for him because he really needed this, and I'm glad he just finally was able to get over the hump and just have a good year taking over for Russell Wilson. He did really well. So let's see his stats. He played all 17 games, and in 17 games, he was 69.8% completion rate. That's second. Wow. 4,282 passing yards, that's 8th. 30 touchdowns, that's 4th. 11 interceptions, that's tied for 101st. Along with 68 carries, that's tied for 69th. 366 rushing yards, that's tied for 60th. And 1 rushing touchdown, that's tied for 87th. That's 352 total fantasy points. He was 5th among all quarterbacks. So in year one, we saw who won the trade. The Seahawks won in a big way. And with the weapons that Smith has, it's clear that he is somebody I would 100% draft. Now, I have him as a quarterback too, because remember the one good year thing, but he's still somebody draftable. He's 13th on my list, just below Jared Goff and just above Aaron Rodgers. I know my list can sometimes be weird, but I'm just looking at the overall picture. I think Geno Smith will have a solid year, and in some cases he can be a very low quarterback one, but generally I'd see him as a quarterback two. I'm just not ready to draft him as a quarterback one, but if you do, I can understand. He has the weapons, and he has shown now that he can finally lead a team. So yeah, good on you, Seattle. You finally managed to crack through Geno Smith, and now he is close to, he could potentially become an elite quarterback soon. Who knows? Kenneth Walker III, Seattle Seahawks running back. So I'm not much of a Michigan State guy. You know, being a Notre Dame fan, there's certain teams that I do not like in college football. But man, oh man, is it fun to have someone like Kenneth Walker. Walker played very well in his rookie year. At some points, he was just always the standout rookie player. So it kind of shocks me that he didn't win Rookie of the Year. I know they gave it to Garrett Wilson, but Kenneth Walker is good. His stats last year were really good. Take a look at these. He played 15 games last year, and in 50 games, he had 228 carries, that's 11th, 1,050 rushing yards, that's 12th, 9 touchdowns, that's tied for 10th. He had 191 total fantasy points, that's 18th among all running backs. This is as a rookie. He played incredible as a rookie. And he is somebody who I have high regards for. He is somebody I would 100% draft. He's 14th on my list, which means he's a running back too. I don't really see him as a 1 just yet, but he's for sure a running back too. I think that if you manage to get him early in the rounds, and I did it again. Geno Smith is somebody who I'd see being drafted in somewhere in round 5 through 8. And for Kenneth Walker, being drafted in rounds 3 through 7. I really think Walker is just going to blow up this year, and I'm actually very excited to see what he's able to do. I feel like he's going to produce better numbers, maybe also in the receiving game, but we'll see. DK Metcalf, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver 1. Now, I don't know. What do you guys think about DK Metcalf? I mean, at times he seems like he's going to be the best receiver in the league. At other times, it doesn't. The stats sometimes don't line up. You had that year, the last year with Russell Wilson, and of course, the injuries happened, and you had Geno Smith in there as well. And it just felt odd. It felt very strange, to say the least, but we still know DK is one of the best receivers in the league. And last season, it looks like he started trending in the right direction. He played 17 games last year, and in 17 games he had 90 receptions, which was 12th, 1,048 receiving yards, that's 16th, 6 touchdowns, that's tied for 24th, and 220 total fantasy points, that's 14th. Now, I think it's the touchdowns that get me, because I almost can envision DK averaging 10 touchdowns a year, and I think it's because of that my mind's tainted right there. But otherwise, DK is a very solid receiver. I still have him ranked fairly high. I have him at 15th on my list, which means he's a wide receiver 2, and he is somebody I would draft somewhere in rounds 4 through 7. I think he is one of those early to mid-round draft picks because he is very dominant in the yards. I just want to see those touchdowns go up. I just think that he needs to average in the 10 touchdowns range, which he can. He should be able to put up those stats, and if he does, he will move his way back into the wide receiver 1 position. Tyler Lockett, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver 2. Now, on the opposite end, I would actually say that because of Tyler Lockett and now this new kid, Jackson Smith-Jigba, I would say that Seattle has one of the best receiving corps in all of football, and Tyler Lockett's stats were pretty shocking, to say the least. I was kind of impressed by what he was able to do last year. He played 16 games, and in 16 games he had 84 receptions, that's tied for 18th, 1,033 receiving yards, that's 19th, 9 touchdowns, that's tied for 6th, which makes him 231 total fantasy points, that is 13th. That's impressive numbers. The touchdowns, of course, is what I'm looking at out of anything, and I just believe that if you can see that production from DK Metcalf, something's going to give. I do not see this receiving core being stopped or even slightly slowed down, and it shows. Now, of course, DK is ranked higher, but I have Tyler Lockett at 23rd, and I have him as a wide receiver low 2, high 3, which means he's somebody I would draft, and I would see him being drafted in rounds 5 through 9. I think he is a very valuable asset to have on your team, especially with touchdowns like that. That's a game changer. He's always been good at getting into the end zone, so I don't see anything different changing. I just believe that with all this stuff, Geno Smith is probably bound to have another big year, maybe even a bigger year, the more I think about it. Noah Fant, Seattle Seahawks tight end. So in that trade that had Russell Wilson going to Denver, it also had Noah Fant coming to Seattle. And as it's the tight end for Seattle, I mean, he's not one of the biggest receiver names on this team, but he is pretty solid, to say the least. He played 17 games, and in 17 games he had 50 receptions, that's tied for 76th. He had 486 receiving yards, that's 90th. 4 touchdowns, that's tied for 46th. And he had 116 total fantasy points, that's 17th. So, pretty impressive for a tight end. He's in the top 20, and that's some good numbers to have. I mean, you're not really going to always expect tight ends to put up those type of numbers, and to be fair, it's really hard to see that even happening because, I mean, do you really expect it to happen? Not everybody's Travis Kelce. That's good news for Seattle. I have him ranked 18th on my list, which means he's a tight end too. He is somebody I would draft. And I see him being drafted in rounds 8 through 12. I believe that he's just a little bit of a lower round pick, but still a good bench warmer to have to come in occasionally to potentially have a big game. And So I would say he is, I wouldn't call him a solid draft pick, but a pretty safe one in the later rounds, I'd say. Assuming you're going forward like a bigger wide receiver or running back core. Jason Myers, Seattle Seahawks kicker. When you're on a very high potency offense, you're bound to have a high potency kicker. And that's Jason Myers. Jason Myers, like, I wasn't really expecting him to be big of a name on here, but the more I take a look, the more I realize, like, being on these type of offenses really help. He played 15 games last year, and in 15 games, he was 34 for 37 made and attempted. That's 91.9%. That's tied for 9th among all kickers. He's 97.6% from extra point percentage, that's 14th. His long was 56, that's tied for 16th. And he had 143 points. That's 155 total fantasy points, which is tied for 3rd among all kickers. See, I didn't expect him to be that high in the fantasy list, but he was, which is just incredible. And where you saw him in the top 10 as far as stats goes and fantasy, he's number 6th on my list, which means he is somebody I would draft as a kicker 1. And because kickers, I really have a tough time seeing where to draft them. They're most likely going to be in rounds like 8 through 15, because generally you see kickers drafted pretty late. That's where I'd see Myers being drafted, but still a very solid pick. And if that offense is going to continue scoring, so will he. And that'll do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you do, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Tonight, when this video comes out, it's not going to come out that much beforehand, but football is happening today. So I am very excited to see the game. It's going to be amazing. I mean, I'm not going to probably watch the entire bits, probably the early bits, but because not really much of the starters are going to be playing anyways. So if you're looking for like the big names playing, you're probably not going to see it happen, but that's just how it normally is for the Hall of Fame game. I don't know how it is for other games. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And yeah, that's all I have. The next video will be ending off this entire series with the San Francisco 49ers. And then it's time to move on to new series and new episodes afterwards. So I'll see you guys then. Have a great day. Take care. And goodbye.